I wanted to show you a little bit more about the rings and some of the problems that I was having. The biggest problem was actually just making sure that these notches all were correct, because the notch itself has to have a slight curve to it. My solution to that, I thought was a really elegant solution, was to use that same jig I'd made earlier and just curve the router around to cut these out. It ended up just blowing apart the wood. You'll see that in the footage I shot. Let me show that to you right now. Here's a full-size version that I've printed up, and these rings are the exact 7-inch diameter of the actual ring. So my radius, of course, is going to be 3.5 inches. So I can make this mark on my base plate, and the router bit will be up on this edge to cut these out. But making it full size allows me to measure this distance from the center of the ring to the pivot point on my router, and that distance is 5 5/16 of an inch. So let me show you how I'm going to set that up. This is that same base plate I was using before, and what I'm going to do now is put a hole right here, which is 3.5 inches. That's my diameter, and that goes to the outside edge of the router bit. So I'll use the same jig that I used before, and I'll cut the rings on it like that. So to make the pivot point, all I need to do is measure over 5 5/16 from this center point. And there's my arc. Alright, so I've made a little arc in there. That seemed to work out fine. So when I cut these, I'll place the ring down on there and I can run it through. I'm also going to duct tape this down just so it won't move. Well, you can see what's happened here. It just completely blew this out. Wow, I don't know, that's pretty much a disaster. Yeah, that just exploded. I think that the main problem is just that this is so thin, and this is just pine. Maybe if I'd used maple, it might hold up to that router bit a little bit better. And then it's just going right into the grain, and it's just, splitting apart. If all of the cuts were going through this part of the grain, I might have better luck, but I really can't do that because there's going to be 2 notches on some of them. It could also be that my router bit really isn't sharp enough. I don't know. There could be a lot of causes, but I'm going to try this on the bandsaw. But in the end, it worked out all right. Obviously it's not perfect by just putting some of these pieces together like that, but it helped to make up the little grid. And well, like I said, this was more of just kind of like an experiment and a challenge to myself more than anything. And I think it's good to do that once in a while. I'll talk to you guys later. He's a little frowny face now. But let me show you this. I've got a beach volleyball here, and this was signed by Misty May Trainer